What did your SO do that made you stop and think, yep, you're the one? Obviously, I really thought he was the one before I agreed to marry him. And I never really had any cold feet. But I may have had that lingering, teeny what-if voice pop up in my head every once in a while, if not for my wedding day. Somehow we ended up with a copy of his handwritten vows with our ceremony. But no copy of mine. The second that we realized my cheeks started to flush, I'm not witty and have crippling social anxiety. So it was hard for me to be the center of attention anyway. Much less make up some wedding vows on the fly in front of everyone I care about. He grabbed his, crumpled them up, and threw them over his shoulder. He looked me in the eyes, and his look said, if you're going to do it, I'm going to do it too. I won't make you go through it alone. From that moment for the rest of our lives, I'll never doubt that I made the right decision in saying yes to him. He memorized his vows and stole yours. It's a good plan, really. I gotta hand it to him. Haha, he didn't. We ended up reading ours to each other in the hotel later at night. His made-up-on-the-fly ones were as bad as mine. But it was lovely anyway. It's a lot of good moments that led up to me knowing. But one I can never seem to forget. I was working an okay but low-paying job due to moving to her city without having a job lined up, and the used car I bought when I moved there had a transmission problem about 6 months after I bought it. There were 2 or 3 days that she had to get up a lot earlier and take me to work and come pick me while the car was in the shop, and it wasn't necessarily convenient for her. I remember at one point during those days I apologized to cause an inconvenience, and she said something to the effect of, it's not a problem and that we were in this together. Looking back, it's something small, but I've never forgotten it. That's really the secret to a successful marriage. You have to be a team, and the competition is life. Compatibility is having varying skills so that you both benefit. So essentially, marriage is agreeing to tag team life with someone. I had my first migraine with her in my apartment. I told her a few times that it's useless the rest of the day. And that if she wanted to go home, it was really okay. I encouraged it. She sat with me through the whole thing, got my laundry that I had started before the migraine hit, while folding it all and putting it away. Got some food in case I wanted to eat. And she didn't judge my gross puking. Also didn't judge the random amount of character things I was saying. Migraines are weird. My mom hated all my boyfriends. Didn't matter who. But when I brought my husband to meet her for the first time 9 years ago, she was pretty blind until he started asking about my type 1 diabetes and how to take care of it, what it entailed. None of the others ever asked or cared. After that, he just meshed really well into my family. It was like he was already part of it. We stayed together. But him caring enough about T1 diabetes was major because it is a major part of who I am. If I'm not careful or something happens, low blood sugar can kill me. Because he knows all my signs. He knows exactly when I need something. He even knows my insulin ratios. We've been together 9 years and married for 4. When I was sick, cranky, gross, and sad, and he wanted to spend his time making me feel better. He chose me over everything else, and I love that so much. Through Paul Ritter's car on our 3rd date, I was totally sober. Not sure what happened. Instead of getting mad or upset, he pulled over, helped me clean up, drove me home, and told me not to cry. Then when we got home, he helped me inside, sat with my dad while I went off to change and clean up more. He didn't leave until I came back out and he saw that I was going to be okay. He impressed both my father and myself. We're married now. This was maybe a month into our relationship. We went out to a fancy dinner for his birthday and I got food poisoning. I spent the rest of the night in the fetal position. Moaning with the shooting pain in my stomach, and I felt as though I was ruining his birthday. He reassured me that I wasn't and never left my side. The last thought I had that night before falling asleep was that I knew I loved him. When I realized he saw my family as his family. My brother graduated from Marine boot camp, and I wanted to be there. It was like 600 miles away, but we saved up so we could drive down. At some point, I realized he wasn't there for me. He was there for him and for my brother. This wasn't his girlfriend's family event he was obligated to go to. This was him supporting someone he loved as well. Oh, I love to say it's when he helped me bury a beloved pet or when he picked me up after a traumatic event and took me for ice cream without being asked. But honestly, it was the run, fart, fall incident. You see, he was embarrassed to fart in front of me. So one night, he felt one coming on. He tried to run from me to the other room. Well, the floor in the other room wasn't carpeted, so his feet went right up from under him and he landed on the floor. On his side, in the fetal position. Then began silently laughing and farting audibly at the same time. And since his back was to me and his head obscured by the wall, all I could see was his ass trembling with laughter and farts. Praise be. She made a peach pie for my birthday. Now don't get me wrong, I love me some cake. But given the choice, I'm never choosing cake over pie. Pie's the greatest culinary confection of all time. So, my birthday rolls around, she cooks dinner, we eat, it's great. She gets up and goes to the kitchen. I hear a match. The whole deal. She comes walking in with this beautifully latticed peach pie. It's really hard to explain how much it's meant to me, or why, but it did. She knew me. She knew that I'd rather have pie than cake. And she had no problem breaking a cultural tradition just to make me happy. That was all it took for me to know. I had just ended my 8-year-long marriage a few months prior, and he was sweet and amazing at every moment of our dates. Which was nice, but I wasn't exactly sure how genuine he was. I was working 2 jobs at the time. One was a 4-day work week, 10 to 12 hours a day, and the other was a part-time job that was about 6 hours a day. But both jobs required an hour commute each way. I had 1 day off a week, and that was the 1 day I was allowed to use the washer and dryer at the house I was renting a room in. He asked if I'd like to go out that day, and I apologized and said I'd have to stay home and do laundry, prepare my meals for my upcoming work week. Then he asked if he could come over. He lived an hour away. Bring me food, played chess with me while I did the laundry. It blew me away. My ex-husband did almost nothing around the house, and certainly never kept me company during all of my cleaning, cooking, and he did not go out of his way for me, unless it was somehow on the way to what he was doing. I was practically speechless. I'll never forget that wonderful afternoon we spent together. Going strong almost 2 years later, and we just got our marriage license today. Hot dude offered to come play chess and feed me while I did laundry. Panties are in immediate need of washing. We're getting married soon. Edit it, add some words. Good thing you're doing laundry. He willingly offered to watch my little brother and everyone else in the family at work, and he did. And every time we go anywhere, he asks if my family needs anything. He's thoughtful beyond anything I could imagine. One of the first dates we ever went on, we were waiting in line for the bar and I was fidgeting with the lighter. She tells me to put it away before I light something on fire. No more than 2 cents later, a portion of her hair goes up in flames. I stood there petrified, looked at my face and prayed that she didn't just walk away. She looked at me and said, "How much burns?" "Just a little, I promise," I said softly. She then just smiled and said, "Put the lighter away. We're getting married in June, and she hasn't even tried to kill me yet." It's not very personal, but it meant the world to me. I've suffered from depression since high school, and when I was around 20, I had a really, really bad night. Those of you that are familiar with depression may understand, but I was just paralyzed with suicidal thoughts and catatonic. We had just started living together and always shaved with a straight razor, explaining to me how superior of an experience it was to anything else lol. Anyway, that night, after hours crying and talking and me curled up beside basically a potato of despair, I finally confessed to him that I was having suicidal thoughts, and they come often. He asked what specifically, and I just mentioned his razors. He looked me in the eyes, and without a word, left the room, gathers giant 100-box straight razors, and walked outside the dumpster and threw them out. It's been about 3 years and I still struggle. But he hasn't gone back to shaving that way since. He doesn't even complain about his disposables or anything, haha. I know that he doesn't think it was a big deal. Just something he needed to do, and the fact that he did so without any hesitation just made me realize that he was going to be there for me through it all. And I wanted to do the same for him. We're married now and have 2 little fur babies, so far so good. I made reconstructive jaw surgery to correct an underbite 2 weeks after I met her. I was crushing her, but wasn't sure if she'd want to date a guy who would have to have his mouth wired shut for 6 weeks. A couple days after I get home from the surgery, she comes over. She didn't care. We sat and watched the movie 21 and held hands. I started crying because she was there by my side when I didn't think anyone would want to be there. We've been together over 8 years now, married for 4, and have the best little boy. I'm a lucky guy. The moment that first maid stopped and realized she was the one was when we were sitting on my couch. I was holding her hand with one hand and the other hand was behind her back, movie theater style. I was trying to be sneaky and went to grope her my hand that was behind her. And she turned and jokingly asked, "What's this?" I looked her dead in the eyes, got a sly sensual look on my face, and said, "You'd be surprised at how many hands I have." The moment it left my mouth, I realized that even though it sounded really smooth in my head, in reality it was really dumb. I was super embarrassed, but her laugh was the most adorable and precious thing I'd ever heard in my whole life. That was when I knew I wanted to hear that laugh for the rest of my life. To be clear, I had heard her laugh before, but she has a special laugh when she gets surprised by something funny, and I'll spend the rest of my life trying again and again to surprise her. Because it's my favorite thing in the whole world. Dark sense of humor. Sure, we were of almost exact levels of intelligence, and there was definitely physical attraction. Over the years, we've learned that we are a perfect yin-yang concerning each other's faults and weaknesses. But that deadly dark sense of humor still has me to this day. No one else on the planet can make me laugh and cringe simultaneously like she can at the most demented, off-color, cruel topic. She even had me laughing at my own mother's funeral. Now that's real power. 22 years together, 20 years of marriage, 4 kids later, and that evil woman is still my wife. This one's my favorite. Bit of backstory, they found a few cysts on my ovaries when I was in my early 20s and was told kids might not be an option, which broke my heart. When I met my hubby very early in the relationship, I'm talking date number 3, in hindsight I was a crazy girl. I asked him what he thought about kids, and he spoke so passionately about wanting to be a dad, and I thought, oh shit, gotta let a good one go. So I told him my issue, expecting the usual sympathies or awkward comments. He just looked right at me and said, not everyone who gives birth is a mom. There's so many more amazing qualities needed to be a mom, and so trust me, you'll be a mom one day. So sincere and simple that I just thought this guy's amazing. We've been married for a year and have just started trying to have kids. So fingers crossed, I can be a mom in one way or another. It's going to seem rather insignificant compared to some of the other answers, but it's a fond memory. I heard some fooling around. I was laying in my bed just watching her. She hopped off the bed and started dressing. She put on her tight black yoga pants and her bra. And then she ran through my closet and put on my white shirt. It was about 7 sizes too big for her, but that only made her look more adorable. She rolled up the sleeves, buttoned the shirt, and quietly, without any music, she started dancing. It wasn't sexy or anything like that. Not that time. It was a goofy dance, but very cute. She was in her own world in that moment, dancing bare feet, shaking her butt. Kept going for a good minute or two, and I was just reveling in the sight. It was kind of mesmerizing. And then she looked at me with a smirk and asked, "Who am I?" And at that exact moment, I made the connection. The outfit, the bare feet, the twist moves, and all that time she was pretending to be Mia Wallace from Pulp Fiction. A movie she knew I love, who doesn't? Honestly. You know, it wasn't some grand gesture or life-changing event, but it was this small moment of mental connection when, with one short question, she proved she knew me exactly where my thoughts would go. This was one of many moments like that when I just felt I was so deeply in love with that girl and no words could ever express it. And I felt like I just had to make her my wife, not because it's right or it's the next step, but because I felt a deep internal need to elevate our relationship into something more. Well, life is a cruel habit of not being what we want it to be, so ultimately we didn't stay together, but I still believe she was the one. Aw, bittersweet story.